Kia ora to you all, and I hope your year is going well already. This is another exciting year for World Vision, and we're really looking forward to see how you're going to contribute in your own way. I particularly want to say hi to our staff out in the field offices, to those in Sepik, those in Madang, those in Morobe, those in Bougainville, and those in Western Province, as well as to my colleagues here in Port Moresby, in the Port Moresby NCD project, and in the CPO. So I want to also, of course, say thanks for last year and all the hard work you did for the year. We had lots of challenges, yes, but we had lots of successes, and I want you to think about those successes. I'll tell you some of mine, what I see from my view, but then I want you to go into to discuss what you see as the successes. So I saw success in terms of our recognition from our partners and our donors about the quality of our work. In particular, I keep hearing people saying World Vision is really good at community work. They really know how to engage communities. So for those of you who are very involved at that field level and engaging in the communities, the message is getting through that you are doing good work in your relationships with the community. And in the visits I've seen in last year and even this year, that's very evident. So thank you for that. Another success I've seen is just in the change process that we entered into, particularly for the whole office in October last year. It was a significant change for us that was really focused on being more effective so we could reach more children in the world. And while there's been some challenges, I feel generally this change has gone well, and we're seeing the changes we'd hoped to see. So thank you for all your efforts and successes that we've had in that change process. The other area I've seen success of, and it's a bit of a slower one, moving one, and that's around our focus on child protection, and it takes a world to end violence against children. You might recall we were came out to different offices just to launch that day. You signed commitments, and yet we're seeing that there's a slow momentum building about positioning us as World Vision as a real child-focused organisation, and that's where we want to keep moving. Audits happened last year, as you know, many of you, and particularly those here in Port Moresby, were very involved in the audits, and audits help keep us accountable, and we've had really successful audits, and we've learnt things along the way and really integrated those into improving the way we work. But our audits have been positive, and again, that's group effort. It's about the team doing everything in the way that we work in a positive way. So thanks for that. So those are the successes I've seen. I want you to stop the video now, and I want you to discuss with your neighbour, just for 5 minutes maximum, what are some of the successes you saw from your perspective in your work, and how did you contribute to those successes? So we just looked at our successes for 2018. Now I want to move on to 2019, this year. And what's it going to look like? What can you expect for this year? What sort of messages are you going to hear from us? What are the expectations? So all we do in our work in World Vision has to be grounded in who we are as an organisation, our values and the goals of the organisation. We've also talked about our strategy for 2030, which is our Promise 2030. Now, some of you have heard a bit about it, but I want us to focus more on it this year. And I want you to understand it and see how it works in practical ways. So, both for you individually as well as a team. So that's what I'm going to talk about, and I want you to think about now. I think of our People 2030 and this big goal that we have in the way of a tree. I want you to think of a mango tree. That seems to be the best tree I can think of in PNG. There's lots of other beautiful trees, but let's focus on a mango tree for now. What does it take for a mango tree to grow and produce wonderful and really good fruit, as well as sort of stay alive and looking well for a long time? I'm stopping the tape, and I want you to just again get in pairs. What are the sort of things that would make for a good tree to grow, a good mango tree? Great. So I hope you had a discussion around what's required for a mango tree to be healthy and long-lasting. I'm assuming and hoping you came up with some of the same ideas as I have, and you may have another one which I haven't thought of. But it seems to me any good tree needs good, strong roots to it. It needs to be able to cope with the weather conditions and strong winds and rain, and also with when there's a bit of a drought. So when I think of World Vision, I think the roots that hold us together and everything we need to do for our People 2030 is around making sure we keep those roots strong. And for us, the core values are our roots. So one of the things I've been talking about with the team here recently was at the end of each week, when we look back on the work we've done, to ask the question of yourself, have the decisions I've made this week, have they been based on my core values? We're Christian, we're partners, we value people, we're good stewards, and we're committed to the poor. So I want us to keep and not lose track of the fact that we need to maintain that strong foundation in all the work that we do. So for me, a good strong tree requires strong roots. Now, the other aspect of a strong tree, it requires good regular watering. And so I want us to think about water in terms of our 3 C's that we talk about in World Vision. We need to remind ourselves that we're child-focused, that we're Christian, and that we're community-based. And so that helps us as a strong tree to grow. Now, the other thing every tree needs is a bit of sunshine and light. And I want us to think quite a lot about that now. So the sunshine for me, for this tree to grow, is around behaviours and mindset. And I want us to talk about what does that mean for us. So let's move to talk about that. In our development work, and those of you who work in the field, you'll know that really successful development only happens when there's a change in behaviour and mindset. We can give people things, but that doesn't necessarily improve lives if you don't have that change in the way we think and what we do. And it's the thinking and what we do and how we behave is what I mean by mindset and behaviours. So our staff who are involved in education and health and livelihoods and WASH and child protection and gender and disability work, which you all know who you are, you're really focused on how do we change those behaviours and the way that people think. So in the same way, for World Vision, for you and me, we also have to change the way we think and the way we behave. And I want us to really look at that for World Vision for this year. And that's a very important part of our Promise 2030. And coming back to the tree, the healthy tree is for us the overarching goal, which is life in all its fullness for every child, especially the most vulnerable children. So we've said we need to keep with our core values, our strong roots. We need to keep remembering we're child-focused, community-based and Christian. And now I want us to think about we need to make sure that our own behaviour and our own way of thinking is correct. And so there's 4 areas that for our Promise 2030 and for 2019 I want us as a team to focus on, and as individuals too, because it's the individuals who work into a team. So the first one's around unity and trust. So we want to build unity and trust. So how do you do that? You need to have some good team building and a sense of team. And how do you build trust? Well, there's lots of ways of doing that. But I was trying to think of an example for you. Last year, we entered into a change process. That involved you having to trust the process. We really asked you to say, we believe this is the right way to go as senior leaders. And we believe that we want to improve the quality and reach to most vulnerable children. And one of the areas was that we need to change our systems to be more effective. So you needed to trust each other, you needed to trust the leaders, and we had to agree together that this change, we would work towards this change as a whole team. So that's an example of our mindset and our behaviours. It's about we're working as unity and talking as one, and that we're trusting each other and trusting our leaders. And so that's one aspect of behaviour this year and attitude I want you to think about. The second one out of 4, so we've done one, this is the second one, is around the wise stewardship. And an example of that comes back to that change process again. The change process, one of the key aspects of that was to look at our business processes. So to improve the way that we did our procurement, the way we actually did our financing, and how we manage those systems. So we want to spend less time on that and have it streamlined as well as possible so we can again have a greater impact on children. Another example of this thing about wise stewardship for me is also planning together and being accountable. And so at a field level, even though we have portfolios, there is still that expectation that for good programming, if you're involved in one sector and there's another team involved in another sector in the same village or the same area, you need to plan together so that when you go to those communities, you're going on behalf of World Vision and that you know what the program for that village is. And so that's an example of wise stewardship because it's planning together to actually be more effective and efficient. So I'm going to stop the tape again, and I want you to again get into pairs and talk about what are some of the change processes that went in last year? What are the things that you think have gone well? And what are the areas that you're still trying to work at? We generally think it's going well. We've tried to address the problems that have come up as they've come up, but we'd really like to continue to have feedback because we want to keep improving our processes. So I want you to stop the video and I want you to actually spend some time. And let's do this for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then you'll take a break. And after the break, then we'll talk about the next 2 aspects of the mindset and behaviours. Thanks. Have a good discussion. Welcome back. I hope in the last session you wrote down those examples and wrote down your concerns and perhaps some solutions that you're recommending to fix some of those concerns. Please send those through to my office here in Port Moresby so that we can incorporate your thoughts and ideas and continuously improve what we're doing. So thanks for that. Now we're going to talk about the next 2 aspects of mindset change and behaviour change we're looking at. So next one is looking outwards. Now World Vision PNG, we've got a lot of people who have connections and talk to others around the country. PNG, you're great with your Wontok system and communicating and keeping in touch. But when it comes to a lot of the work that we do, it's really important that we have meetings regularly that are a little bit more formal and record what's come out of the meetings, not just a chat, but actually are there action points? Are there things that we can do together? And we need to know about those things. So it's great what you're doing, but we don't always know what you're doing around your interactions with partners. So it's with local government, it's with other NGOs, it's with departments within the government at a provincial level, that we want to get you to really regularly, every month, meet with those and have those people and really make sure those relationships are strong. So the mindset is, it's not World Vision's doing everything. It's actually we're supporting communities to meet their own goals. We're supporting the government policies. It's about us supporting the country as a whole, right from the community through to and up to central government. So that's looking outwards, and I think many of you have that attitude already, but we just want to reinforce that.